Hello my good friends, welcome to the channel Digimon Explained. My name is Jesse and in this video we're going to be talking about a Digimon I already discussed previously but briefly. I'm talking about Pulsemon. My error back then is that I was a little too eager to discuss it as it was only brand new, and because of it we didn't fully discuss the entirety of its Digivolution line as some of its ultimates and mega levels were not out yet. Luckily we can do that now, and I do have to say that Pulsemon is definitely a very interesting Digimon who managed to bring its own color into everything related to Digivolution. So, to make it easier to understand Pulsemon and its Digivolution line, I'll give you some background first about the concept and idea behind this wonderful Digimon. You see, Pulsemon was designed by Fumio Kobayashi, and was designed to be a mascot that matches the image of sportiness and wearability, as well as having a wow factor in its Digivolution. Its Digivolution line had to be shocking. And how did they manage to do that? Well, let me say the following. Pulsemon was made within the sphere of the Digimon Project 2021, which is a series of live-action shorts featuring humans alongside 3D Digimon models, made to promote the Vital Bracelet digital monster. The Vital Bracelet essentially is a Digivice that works just like a fitness bracelet that monitors your vitals, the amounts of steps you made, etc. I'm pretty sure that I discussed the Vital Bracelet in that one video where we went over all, if not most, Digivices out there. To be sure, I'll just put the link towards that video in the description box. You can always check it out if you haven't already. Pulsemon was pretty much the mascot of the Vital Bracelet Digivice, which the user could have used to level up his or her partner. That process will be explained in a moment. The bracelet could also be used to fight with others, and it could have been used to make its partner digivolve depending on how the human partner was training. This might sound weird because suddenly it isn't the Digimon that is training per se, but rather the human partner. Let me get deeper on that. The Vital Bracelet connects a human with its partner Digimon through a heart rate sensor, and once it is connected, the wearer's heart rate and step counts are displayed on screen, and the vitals are converted into stats that power up the Digimon that's been connected to the bracelet. Which means that, depending on how the human partner is using its body, its partner, in this case Pulsemon, will digivolve accordingly. And this can lead to many different forms. Here you can see how big Pulsemon's Digivolution line is, and I can only hope with all sincerity that you guys are ready because we're going to go through all of them. We're even going to go through some forms that aren't displayed here. Let's do it. Obviously we're first going to start with the rookie Digimon Pulsemon itself. A beastkin Digimon and the mascot of the Vital Bracelet Digivice. It is a Digimon that digivolved under the influence of heartbeat waveform data stored in hospitals and gyms, which explains its name. The pulse in Pulsemon can either come from an electromagnetic pulse, also called EMP, which is a brief burst of electromagnetic energy. And pulse can also come from heart pulse, which is the frequency of the heartbeat measured by the number of contractions of the heart per minute. By the way, in this video you will learn a lot about fitness through this Digivolution line, I've warned you. Now Pulsemon looks a bit like a hedgehog with quills at the back of its head. Its characteristic fringe is linked to its emotions. When it feels down, the fringe will droop. It might be a bit of a surprise to see it down though, as Pulsemon has a lively personality in that it treats anyone without discrimination. It is a cunning fighter who battles by capitalizing on its natural agility and moving around in the shape of a lightning bolt. That's why it can ram into enemies with all its might at lightning speed, or it can discharge electricity generated within its body from its fringe. Now, here is where it gets interesting. It is via Pulsemon that a new method of Digivolution has been discovered. What do I mean by that? Some Digimon, in this case Pulsemon, is influenced by the vital data of others, which means that the one it is linked to, via the Vital Bracelet, will cause it to digivolve in various ways depending on the improvement of his or her physical abilities. But you have to also know that Digimon are essentially data, and they have the abilities themselves to also absorb other data, which will make them digivolve accordingly. Meaning that Pulsemon doesn't necessarily have to be linked to a Vital Bracelet Digivice. Anyway, Pulsemon has 4 champion forms. We will explain them one by one. The champion level and dragon humanoid Digimon Bulkmon is one of the 4 champion forms of Pulsemon. It is a Digimon that digivolved via the data of a body composition monitor that measures muscle mass, which explains the bulk in the name Bulkmon. It comes from the word bulking, which is a process used to gain weight while preserving as much muscular mass as possible. a process commonly used in bodybuilding. Bulkmon has a bellicose personality, meaning that it has the habit of demonstrating aggression and the willingness to fight. Quite different from the personality it had as a Pulsemon, but then again, I've known many who gained a bit of confidence when they gained a bit of muscle. Bulkmon's power, brought about by its unnaturally well-developed upper body muscles, is top class even among champion Digimon. And this might mean that it came into the league of champion Digimon of the likes of Vidramon, who is said to be the owner of offensive power that is uncommon even among champions. In fact, if Vidramon is put into a predicament, it exhibits power that surpasses even that of some ultimates. So we can say that Bulkmon has its rival here. Anyway, Bulkmon's reaction speed is extremely high despite its large size, and it overwhelms its enemies with its tremendous power and speed. It truly became a hard worker, always continuing its training when it is not eating or sleeping. That is why it became a very dangerous Digimon to fight up close, and if it must deal with opponents that refuse to come closer, it still has the ability to discharge the electrical energy stored in its horn. Another champion form of Pulsemon is the beast Digimon Runnermon, a Digimon that digivolved via the data from a treadmill. Being born from that data, it shouldn't be much of a surprise to learn that Runnermon is capable of running without any loss in speed, even through areas with poor footing such as mountainous areas or swamplands, which explains its name. Runnermon comes from the word running. However, rather than its speed or ability to cover distances, its stamina deserves special mention. Runnermon is able to continue running for long periods while maintaining its top speed the entire time. That's quite a feat. In many ways does Runnermon remind me of Raydramon. Both of them use energy/lightning based attacks to attack enemies in the distance or even those in close range, as they both have horns which are often charged with lightning. Both of them are quadrupedal and both are equally badass. It's just that Runnermon really did take the direction of beasts, while Raydramon has some dragon data in it. Anyway, third champion for Pulsemon is the insectoid Digimon Exermon, a Digimon that digivolved from yoga lesson data and a Digimon that belongs to my favorite insectoid Digimon for many reasons. You see, Exermon mainly lives in high mountainous regions and fights using its own style of taijutsu, which adopts unique movements similar to those of a mollusk. And mollusks are invertebrate animals like slugs, squid, cuttlefish, octopuses, etc. Exermon has an excellent sense of balance in that it supports its own weight with the stinger on its rump, and its core never shakes regardless of what unnatural pose it takes. Living up in the mountains is also great for it, as it absorbs sunlight through its antenna and converts it into electrical energy within its body, which leads us to something very interesting: its means of attacking opponents. Exermon is one of the rare cases of Digimon who can confuse intruders with telepathic abilities, which manifests using its antenna as a medium. That's excellent for opponents who are out of reach, but if an enemy gets up close, it can use its defibrilla shock, where it touches the opponent with its palms, which act as positive and negative electrodes, delivering an electric shock. For your information, that defibrilla shock comes from defibrillation. It's a treatment for life-threatening cardiac arrhythmias. A defibrillator delivers a dose of electric current to the heart. Last champion of Pulsemon is the puppet Digimon Namakemon, a Digimon that has ended up only finding joy in life from eating and sleeping, which explains its name. Namaki is the Japanese word for a lazy person, a slacker, or just a sloth. Its dislike of strenuous exercise has even erased its combat instinct as a Digimon, and it has come to live in elevated areas such as on treetops so that no one can approach it. And because both of its arms are often being used to grasp into tree branches, it is also able to use its long, well-developed tongue skillfully as a third arm. Speaking of its tongue, that tongue secretes a numbing venom, meaning that those who get licked by it would end up being paralyzed. A very interesting move which it unfortunately rarely ever gets the chance to use. It kind of reminds me of that Pokemon called Lickitung, who could do the same thing with its tongue. So, those were the 4 interesting champion forms of Pulsemon. From these 4 champions came 6 ultimate forms, who are each of them also extremely interesting. And I do want to add the following: normally each champion has the potential to digivolve to at least 3 of those ultimate forms. It will obviously depend on the data that is being absorbed. So let me just say the following. Some of Pulsemon's champion forms are likelier to digivolve into certain of its possible ultimates. Anyway, let's go through the 6 ultimate forms. The first of the 6 ultimates is Pistmon, a vegetation Digimon. It digivolved via a training program used by road racers, which explains its name. The piste in Pistmon is a French word for either a fixed gear racing bicycle, typically without brakes, or it may be a reference to cyclism sur piste, or the word can also come from pistil, which is the female reproductive organs of a flower. Pistmon's bicycle-like wheels and body are fully integrated with each other, and it has a remarkable sense of balance that allows it to stand still even when it is not running. This reminds me of Tempomon, who had its lower half fused with its horse in order to move more easily about the battlefield, so that even during a pitched battle, it is able to swing its sword without losing its balance. What's more interesting about Pistmon's bike are the thorny vines, which act as tires. They are capable of changing shape, allowing it to run speedily across rough roads without going flat. These same wheels are used by Pistmon to mow down enemies in one go if necessary. But that's not all it can do. It can expel highly toxic spores from the protrusions on its back, or simply shoot the thorns from its handle. An interesting aspect of Pistmon is that it is good friends with Black Gatomon Uber, who is often seen riding on its back while performing deliveries. Black Gatomon Uber deserves its own video, but suffice it to say that it was once a Black Gatomon who changed completely by absorbing the data of a courier service that has flowed into the digital world in recent years. With this change, its nasty personality it once had as a Black Gatomon is completely gone. This shows how the digital universe is truly in movement and expanding, but that shouldn't be a surprise as this universe is linked to the internet. There's always something new that is added to the internet. Anyway, let's get back to Pulsemon's ultimates. Climbmon is the second ultimate of Pulsemon we are going to be discussing, and Climbmon is another insectoid Digimon just like Exermon, who both of them love the mountains. Climbmon digivolved via bouldering course data, and now the pickaxes on its arms are used not only for piercing things such as cliffs, but also for tapping and driving the kunai-shaped pythons it carries in the underside of its wings into sturdy rocks. It can also throw its pythons as a long-range attack, and if necessary, it can always spread out its pickaxe arms to tear the enemy to pieces while spinning. So, it skillfully uses its pickaxes and pythons. It clings onto any dangerous spot and moves quickly and brilliantly like a ninja. In fact, it has the ability to blend itself into its surroundings, then creeps up stealthily on the enemy. So in other words, Climbmon specializes in ambush tactics, so I think it would work great in combination with the other ninja type Digimon who exist by the many. Maybe I should make a video about the top 10 best stealth Digimon. The third ultimate of Pulsemon to discuss is the birdkin Digimon Tempomon, with its name Tempo being a term used in sports/fitness to refer to the rate or speed of motion or activities such as lifting weights. But it can also be a term used in musical terms, which would be more fitting for Tempomon as it digivolved via dance music data. It became a natural-born dancer who always performs to the rhythm and unleashes its taijutsu while dancing even in battle. In fact, in battle it dances Kenpo, which incorporated capoeira and martial arts, and it can cause a roaring sound and tornadoes with its skillful footwork. Tempomon is a performer who dances to things ranging from cheerful music to mellow, moody songs, and whenever its headphones come off or the music stops, it gets into a bad mood and starts acting violently. Speaking of music, it has speakers on its abdomen. If needed, it can blow away the enemy with a very loud beat emitted from it. Fourth of Pulsemon's Digivolution is Divemon, the aquatic Digimon. It is a Digimon that digivolved via data which studied the swimming styles of top swimmers. Its name is a reference of diving as a sport. It's a bit different compared to Divemon's name, which is a reference to scuba diving. Divemon's swimming speed is top class even among aquatic Digimon, and with its 4 eyes it never loses sight of its underwater prey, which it can slash with the sharp fins all over its body or by hurling pressurized water like a blade at them. Although Divemon has a merman-like appearance, it is also capable of bipedal activities on land, and while active on land, it envelops itself in water armor, which enhances its physical ability. As a result, even in places without water, it is able to exhibit the same strength as when it is underwater. A very interesting way for a Digimon to adapt, even when in an environment that isn't entirely favorable. Fifth of Pulsemon's ultimate Digivolution is the machine Digimon Shootmon, a Digimon that digivolved via the data of various ball games from around the world. In a certain way, Shootmon reminds me of Maimon. They really do look alike. I'm wondering if they are somehow related. Anyway, with a cannon in one hand capable of shooting all kinds of balls, it plans to popularize ball games through the digital world. And these balls can be shot from its cannon at speeds exceeding 300 km an hour or 186 miles per hour. Or if needed, it can turn anything it touches into a ball without wasting its breath. Digimon who suffer it are mercilessly shot out of its cannon. Quite a fearsome technique and quite a fearsome Digimon. Digimon who fear it even gave it the name the Laughing Oni Coach, because Shootmon approaches them with a smiling face that never changes whether it is angry or happy. To finish, the sixth of Pulsemon's ultimates is the beastkin Digimon called Boutmon. Remember that Pulsemon itself is also a beastkin. Boutmon is a Digimon that digivolved from the data of combat sports such as karate, which explains its name. Bout in Boutmon is a reference to the short period of intense activity of a specified kind, or a term used to refer to matches in either professional wrestling and boxing. Boutmon is a courteous sportsman who has learned the rules of every type of martial arts and values fighting in the game format its opponents wants. And although there is a wide variety of techniques it can use, non-existent techniques like those in fighting games as well as sports show up from time to time. When it fights, it uses a great variety of close-range moves. It can land an axe kick into the opponent's skull with lightning, it dish out a series of kicking and punching techniques without giving the opponent a chance to strike back, and if necessary, it can fire oversized energy shots from its held-out palms. Those were the 6 very impressive ultimate forms of Pulsemon. There is a great variety of them, and I really like how they were all connected to a certain sport. The variety is simply amazing. But now, it is time to discuss the basically godlike mega level forms of Pulsemon. And seriously, they are crazy and extremely interesting. If you were looking for the shock factor, here it is coming. I will start with the beastkin Digimon named Achillesmon, a mega Digimon that digivolved by becoming adept in every kind of sport from all times and all places and mastering them. The name Achilles is a reference to one of my favorite characters in Greek mythology, namely Achilles. He was a hero of the Trojan War and was known as being the greatest of all the Greek warriors. If you've never watched the movie Troy, starring Brad Pitt as Achilles, then please go and watch it. Every time I think about Achilles, I see Brad Pitt's face. That's how well he played it. Achillesmon possesses spirit, skill and strength, and is a true seeker who never misses training without bragging about its tenacious power. Its extreme physical ability has no weaknesses, and so it achieves victory without showing any weak spots, not only in sports, but also in battle. And when it fights, it loves to confuse the enemy with after images caused by its high-speed movement. And its spear, well, Achillesmon has the skill to reliably throw its spear to pierce the enemy's Digicore, and once a Digicore is pierced, the Digimon dies. I should take the time to also explain the Digicore, but suffice it to say that a Digimon can keep functioning indefinitely regardless of what happens to the rest of its body as long as the Digicore itself is unharmed, as the Digicore is analog to its soul. A little side note concerning Achillesmon. As you know, there is this group called the Olympus 12. The group is modeled after the Roman analog of the 12 Olympians. As far as I know, the existence of Digimon based on Greek gods isn't really confirmed, or not yet. In the Boutmon universe, we already have Hadesmon, which is a digital incarnation of Hades, the god of the underworld. At least with Achillesmon in existence, we know that the possibility of having a Zeusmon or an Athenamon is pretty much there, so I'm hoping the Digimon developers will go deeper on it. Second mega level form of Pulsemon is Shivamon, the insectoid Digimon. And just a side note, I love that Insectoid Digimon also get a god level Digivolution, and this one is in fact extremely interesting. For starters, Shivamon is a Mega Digimon that digivolved by achieving enlightenment through yoga, probably from back when it was an Exermon training in the mountain. And now, it literally became a digital embodiment of Shiva, one of the principal deities of Hinduism and a deity regarded as the patron god of yoga, meditation, and arts. And now, Shivamon became a rigorous seeker of peace who attempts to guide others with its calm spirit. It shows its violent disposition only to those who lack decorum or disturb the peace, and will annihilate them without mercy. And you have to know that the energy concealed within its body is as powerful as nuclear fuel. So if push comes to shove, it will become a god of destruction that pulverizes everything. In its way of attacking, it can fire unparalleled orb-shaped light energy from its palms, and it can hurl the rings on its arms, which change shape at will and blows the enemy away. In terms of defense, it can use a rainbow-colored barrier to cover itself within its yoga pose, and that barrier does not let most attacks pass through. It can only be penetrated by those who have acquired strength through the power of yoga, like Shivamon itself. Which leads me to say the following. In a previous episode, I discussed the Digimon SHAKAMON. I'll put the link of that video in the description box. I explained that SHAKAMON is the protector of the Eastern digital world since ancient times, and is in fact a Digimon who also reached enlightenment, just like Shivamon. And I always wondered the following: if SHAKAMON is the protector of the Eastern digital world, who protects the other sides of the digital world, meaning the Western, Southern, and Northern sides? I said that it probably would be a Digimon more or less similar in terms of skills and godliness like SHAKAMON, and I think that Shivamon easily deserves the spot. And you know what? Because you can see a white snake on Shivamon, it reminds me of the Digimon Deva Sandiramon. The Digimon Deva is under the supervision of Jukiaomon, who is a guardian of the southern part of the digital world. I would put Shivamon on top of Jukiaomon, just like how SHAKAMON is on top of Azulongmon, who protects the eastern part of the digital world. How do you think of it? Let me know in the comment section. The third mega level of Pulsemon is that of Kazuchimon, a Shaman Digimon. It is a mega Digimon that digivolved by tempering its body and soul to the limit through unimaginable training. And for Kazuchimon, fighting is a sacred rite that must never be tarnished because it has devoted everything to it. Kazuchimon's name comes from Takemi Kazuchi, a Japanese god of thunder that is also a sword god. He also competed in what is considered the first sumo wrestling match recorded in history. Takemi Kazuchi is also seen as the patron deity of martial arts, so seeing it being digitalized in the form of Kazuchimon is quite badass. Kazuchimon became a natural-born warrior who is so immersed that it continues to refine its tactics and strategies regardless of its own comforts, and once in battle, it turns into a raging war god and exhibits the strength to take on 1,000 warriors. And boy, Kazuchimon is powerful. It can cut down the enemy with the lightning swords it holds by dual-wielding them, it can erect a barrier of lightning to force the enemy into a one-on-one battle, and it can finish the enemy off by condensing the electrical energy in its surroundings and then firing an ultra-high density shot of lightning. I have something to say about Kazuchimon. In a previous episode, which I will also put a link of in the description box, we talked about LOOGAMON. I explained that its mega level Fenrir LOOGAMON has a garment wrapped around its neck, a garment known as Gleipnir, which is inscribed with ancient magics. It is said that when Fenrir LOOGAMON's digicore is filled with strong emotions, the magic is activated and those emotions are made manifest. This magic was used by Kazuchimon and it digivolved miraculously, resulting in the form called Fenrir LOOGAMON Takemi Kazuchi. In reality, in a similar fashion to how Omnimon became the Omni Sword, Kazuchimon became the sword called Takemi Kazuchi. The same sword can be split into two and wielded from both ends of Gleipnir, which transforms into a thick rope. And Gleipnir can be manipulated at will by Fenrir LOOGAMON Takemi Kazuchi. This form is very powerful as it can unleash the magical powers of flame and lightning from the giant sword held in its maw. The question is, how powerful is this form? Final mega level Digivolution of Pulsemon is the badass wizard Digimon Shroudmon. It is a Digimon that digivolved from a certain Digimon that tempered its body beyond its limit during unimaginable training. and now it gained the name Shroudmon, with shroud being possibly a combination of the English word of shroud, which is a piece of cloth or an enveloping garment in which a dead person is wrapped for burial, and there's the Japanese shroud, possibly meaning shura, or in other words, ashura. A term either used in martial arts, meaning a person who pursues a destructive path in pursuit of power, fame and fortune, or it can refer to power-seeking demons in Hinduism. Or, in a more Buddhist context, the word is sometimes translated as titans, demigods or anti-gods. And as a result of Shroudmon just fighting like an Ashura, it came to be known as the Fierce God. The truth is that its mind is already broken, and it even has forgotten the reason why it sought strength. It became a genuine combat enthusiast who loves fistfighting and forces its defeated opponents to get back up. It is an extremely powerful close-range combatant and uses its iron fists, shrouded in an ominous aura, to dish out a combo attack too quick for the eye to see. It can reduce its surroundings to ashes with a roundhouse kick covered in flames, and it can fire black flaming energy shots from its held-out palms. This boasts the single greatest firepower generated by a Digimon, as it is said. For reasons I'd love to see Shroudmon fight against Marsmon, the Digimon god of war, said to be familiar with all the ways in the world to fight dirty, without weapons, and has absolute confidence in battles with others in the same weight class. This would be an extremely interesting battle, which makes me genuinely wonder who will come out stronger. Let me know in the comment section. Hello my good friends, this is the end of the video, I hope you enjoyed it. While it was a longer video, I admit that I really did enjoy making it and I loved going through each member of this line. Pulsemon to me has actually one of the more interesting Digivolution line out there because it truly emphasizes how the type of training will make you an expert on a particular discipline. And this Digivolution line also showed how the absorbed data can pretty much change a Digimon in a great variety of ways. Now again, some of Pulsemon's champion forms are less likely to digivolve into a particular ultimate, and a particular ultimate can be less likely to digivolve in one of the 4 mega levels. It really depends on the Digimon, on the type of data it absorbed, and actually whether that type of data that was absorbed isn't going to counter the already existing data. So there's a multiplicity of factors to influence a Digivolution. I'm happy to have mentioned Shivamon and SHAKAMON as I have yet to continue the Digimon Deva series, but I admit that Shivamon already caught my eye and I was waiting to first discuss it before going further with the Digimon Deva series, as now I can add Shivamon as a hypothetical superior of Jukiaomon, so very interesting. And another question for you guys, if you know 2 other Digimon that resemble SHAKAMON and Shivamon, let me know in the comment section because I'd like to analyze them and see if they could fit the role of superior of the Digimon sovereigns. Anyway, let me know in the comment section what you think of Pulsemon's Digivolution line. Did you like it? Did you think all Digivolution made sense? Who do you think is more likely to digivolve into the other? Who would win a battle between Shroudmon and Marsmon? Take your time, try to elaborate your answers, and please make sure to like the video and to subscribe if you haven't already. It helps the channel a lot, you have no idea. And it actually doesn't cost you a dime, just a small effort. And if you are new, know that all videos are placed in particular Digimon playlists, which are always updated, that way you can catch up to newer and older videos.